Now, TTT is proud to premiere Nabbie, advocate for organ donation and kidney transplant, the day before Independence, Sunday, August 30 at 1 p.m. And we are happy to be joined by the producer of the piece, Gideon Hanoomansingh, to tell us more about it. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, DK. It's a pleasure to be sitting in my home and responding to you where you are keeping our distance.
The pleasure is ours. Now, in terms of getting I'm not sure if to ask for an overview of the film or asking to you what the film is about, but you can answer either of those questions. Thank you.
Well, as you rightly said, it's a story about an advocate for organ donation and kidney transplant in Trinidad and Tobago. The nation will remember in 1988, Nabbie and his sister made medical news in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean by being among the first persons to have a kidney transplant in Trinidad. The sister, Zobida, donating one of her kidneys to her older brother, Nabbie. And they are both alive today, celebrating 32 years of this transplant that put Trinidad and Tobago on the medical global map. Now, when Nabbie asked me to produce this video on this event and his life, I thought that I should go into the village of Mondesir, just outside of Rosilac, and do a study on his life and find out more about him. And what I found in tracing his life is that he was such an inspiration as a young man to his peers in that village. So he became somewhat of a vessel of hope to the people of that village. And when he was the recipient of this kidney transplant, being the first, he undertook to become the greatest advocate for organ donation and kidney transplants in the country. So therefore, that title of a vessel of hope from the village of Mondesir fitted very nicely with what he became as a strong advocate after the operation. And the story was built around that event, those events, both his personal life in the village and in the post-operation scenarios of his existence.
And with that in mind, I want to know how important was it to you to stay true to the subject matter? And even before you answer, there's a clip that we want to play, and we do that now. So,
100,000 US dollars. Where will I get that kind of money? Dr. Saifu said a kidney transplant will cost 100,000 US dollars. Where will I get that kind of money? Dr. Saifu.
So as opposed to just saying, okay, well, this is the situation, being able to bring that in and say which is something that I know growing up. How important is it just to kind of situate it in from the point of view of Nabbie and the people experiencing it from Mondesir who were talking to you?
Well, he was talking his language. And what better way to communicate a story than with the language of the subject? The people of Mondesir understood that. He understood that it was enormously difficult for him to find $100,000 for an operation that would save his life. So he went out to Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto. And when he was told that he had to spend $100,000 US, he wanted to know, where will I get this money? And as he said in the documentary, he returned to Trinidad singing the Doris Day song, Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. But he didn't give up. He decided to seek advice elsewhere. So he went off to Miami, then he went to London, and he came back here. And that's when he broached the subject with his family and the family gave him all the support that he needed. All members of the family went for tests to determine who would have been the best choice, the perfect match for the kidney transplant. And it was his youngest sister, Zobida, whom you saw in the clip and who is in the video, explaining that she had 5 young children at the time. And because she was the perfect match, she said there was no way in which she would have denied him that opportunity to live. You know, there's a story I told my daughter today. In talking with Zobida's husband about how they met, he started talking about some people from his village who sold agricultural produce all over the South and went to Mondesir, found this beautiful young lady, and came back and said to him, listen, we found a beautiful girl and we would like to introduce you to this lady. We'd like to ask you to come with us the next time we go to Mondesir. And at that point, he began to cry. And he said to me thereafter, every time I think about that story, I become emotional. He becomes emotional because here it is that he unhesitatingly gave permission to his wife, who had 5 young children, to undertake this operation to save her brother's life. As Hans said in the documentary that we will see on Sunday and Monday, he believes that there is no greater expression of love between a sister to a brother.
And speaking of introductions, and you said that we're going to see it on Sunday, please God. What do you think is the importance of premiering a documentary like this the day before independence? And this is our final question before we wrap.
Well, I think the story itself is one of advocacy. Nabbie Khan his mission is to promote organ donation and kidney transplant. He became the first recipient of this operation in Trinidad, and therefore he took it upon himself to make this his mission. So premiering this documentary in Trinidad and Tobago the day before independence and showing it again on Independence Day fits in very nicely with the fact that this is an historic national event in the medical life of Trinidad and Tobago. So there's no better time really to premiere it and to show it again and again so that people will take the message very strongly and very sincerely and become what Nabbie Khan wants them to become, advocates of organ donation.
So we want to thank you very much for your time, Gideon Hanoomansingh, both in sharing with us this afternoon as well as in producing this documentary. I looked at the documentary, I was moved by it, and I think at a time when we sometimes forget that people are people and we all go through issues, we all go through trials and tribulations, it is a very timely piece of work.